Hey everyone, this is Mike and today we're going to be talking about our ultimate from patch 5.5 that got delayed until patch 6.1. Because if you didn't know yet, in the live letter for patch 5.5, Yoshi announced that our ultimate was going to be delayed until the next expansion, which is probably going to be about a year from now, that ultimate would be releasing, which is of course a very big gap in between the two ultimates coming out, because I believe the previous ultimate came out about a year ago at this point. So it's been quite some time since our hardcore raiders got their hands on some really difficult content. Now, earlier this week I was streaming, a couple of people came into the stream asking about my opinion on this, like what do you think about Ultimate being delayed the way that they did it yet again, because of course it was supposed to be there in 5.3, got delayed till 5.5, now being delayed again to 6.1. In my opinion, effectively cancelled, but we'll talk about that when I get there. And then they also asked me what I was going to be doing for the rest of this expansion, because of course Ultimate was that one big thing that a lot of people were looking forward to, both myself and a lot of other people in my static, and now it's not going to be there. So what other content is there going to be for us to do at the end of this expansion? So let's just take it one topic at a time. When it comes down to what we're going to be doing for now, we're going to be continuing to do Savage for a little bit more. We're going to do 16 weeks at minimum. Once those 16 weeks are over, people aren't obligated to come to raid, so to speak, but if they want to come, they can come. Otherwise, we'll probably find some replacements here or there between some of our friends that we can ask if they want to join for weeklies. I'm pretty much just going to be raiding with them as long as they want to continue to do so, because I want to gear up my jobs for 6.0. I know that gearing up for the next expansion isn't really a thing, because once you reach like, what is it, level 86 or something, dungeon gear becomes better. But still, I want to do it. Just keeps me busy this expansion, gets me some nice glamour, because some of the raid sets do look quite nice. And it's just something to keep me busy basically. And then also, of course, in 5.5 we're getting a new extreme trial, meaning last extreme trial from this expansion, so I can start farming out all of the extreme primal mounts to then get the big mount at the end, and having some gear for that will definitely speed up the farming process for that as well. So that's why I'm going to be continue to doing Savage. Of course, we're also getting a new relic step. I'm not really a fan of how the relic has gone this expansion. I'm still going to do one for Gunbreaker, hopefully a video on that early next week, maybe at the end of this week as well, depending on how much I can farm 24-mans in the next few days. But basically, Relic, still gonna finish one. Depending on how the final step goes, I might farm a few more relics, but we'll have to wait and see about that. Can't really say anything for sure until I know what that final step is going to be. And then of course we also have the 24-man raid, but 24-man raid is not really something that I would be grinding out all that much, because I have been farming Savage for so long. The 24-man raid in terms of gear progression doesn't really do much for me. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing until 6.0 comes out. Farm some Savage, do the relic maybe, depending on how good the final step is, and then also work on getting the extreme trial mounts before the next expansion comes out. I only have 2 of them so far, so I definitely have a lot of work to do if I want to get all of them before 6.0 comes out. When it comes down to my opinion, of course I'm not happy that our ultimate is effectively being cancelled. The reason why I say cancelled is because, yes, they say they're going to be putting it into the next expansion or delaying it until 6.1, but I don't really believe that we will be getting 3 ultimates in the 6.x series, because of course delaying an ultimate means that they would still be doing the 2 that were supposed to be there in 6.x, meaning that we now have 3 of them. I personally don't think it will be that way, so they've effectively cancelled one in 6.x, unless of course they do make 3 of them, but again, I don't believe that. Would gladly be wrong about that though, but again, it's not something that I'm keeping my hopes up for. So when it comes down to the whole delaying aspect, in 5.3 I was very understanding of it. Of course, the pandemic had just happened. They had to get used to working from home, getting everything set up as well. So it's pretty normal that they had a pretty big delay in content releases, because they had to get everything set up. It's very understanding about it, of course. Very difficult situation to work around. And even now there are still a lot of problems when it comes down to that. I can see that in my own situation as well with my parents, with everything that's going on. It's a very difficult situation to work around. So I was very understanding of all of that. The ultimate being delayed until 5.5 I actually saw as a good thing as well, because it meant that the end of expansion content drought would not be as bad as it normally is, because now all of a sudden I can spend 4 or 5 weeks progging an ultimate and then also spend a few more weeks farming weapons from that ultimate. So there would basically be something for me and my group to be doing during this end of expansion content drought. I was pretty positive about all of that. And then even when it comes down to more casual raiders, maybe when they say, okay, we're done with our current Savage raid tier, maybe we could try out Ultimate as well, because we still have 3 months or something. Until the next expansion comes out, might as well give it a try. Of course, it being delayed once again now does feel a bit bad, and the main reason for that is because they didn't really communicate it all that well. Like when they announced that they decided to not play catch up and try to release the expansion on their normal release date, which would be probably about 3 months earlier than it is right now. They said, look, we are an episodic MMO, it's very story driven, we want to have it so that our content releases are always on the same schedule, and that all of those content releases also have all of the content in there that our players are expecting, and that it also has the same amount of quality that the players are expecting from Final Fantasy XIV as well. And it is basically an impossible decision to make. Either it is focus on getting quality content out, delay the next expansion, or it is play catch up and have little content come out in the patches, or maybe not as polished content. It's an impossible choice to make. They decided to make the choice of delaying the expansion and just bringing out the content as it comes, and I totally respect that decision. I'm totally fine with it as well. It's just a little bit unfortunate that they said, look, we're back on track, we decide to not play catch up and release the content as it is expected, and then the content isn't there. Of course, when it comes down to Shadowbringers itself, in terms of content releases, I've personally not been very happy. The Relic has been super lackluster, there has been no deep dungeon, Hildebrand got cancelled, we only have 1 dungeon per patch now, and I can probably go on for a little bit longer of stuff that is missing in this expansion compared to Heavensward or Stormblood. So definitely not 100% sure about all of that. There is less content already, now they're cancelling even more, with the second Ultimate being cancelled, going into 6.1. So I'm not quite sure what I need to be expecting of the game going into 6.1 either. I really hope that they pick up the pace again, because 14 has felt very empty for me in this expansion at least, but that probably has a little bit to do with the fact that they revamped A Realm Reborn, they've added a lot of stuff to the new game plus, they've revamped Crafters and Gatherers, the Firmament came out, so there are still a lot of things that came out, but a lot of those things also did not affect me as a player, so that is probably why it feels a little bit empty, and why I am still a little bit hopeful that 6.0 is going to be better than Shadowbringers content-wise for me personally, but of course we'll have to wait and see until 6.0 comes out, until I can actually get a definitive answer on that. So still kind of hopeful for 6.0 to be better than Shadowbringers, in the sense that Shadowbringers was really the quality of life expansion, so to speak, in terms of new player experience, crafting and gathering overhaul, all of that kind of stuff, rather than an endgame experience where they just build on the endgame with more dungeons to do so expert roulette doesn't get as stale, and like having a lot of relic content around, whereas a lot of the relic content that we're doing right now is basically just going back to doing old content, like for example the step that we got in this patch, pretty much run old 24-mans at this point. So yeah, pretty curious to see what they're going to be doing with the next expansion in that sense. So I'm not really all that happy with what they have done with the delaying in the expansion, not only when it comes down to the ultimate content, but also when it comes down to some of the other content. Of course, pretty sad to see it being delayed until 6.1. It means that we've gone pretty much 2 years, I think, without an ultimate, because I think 6.1 is supposed to be about a year from now. The previous ultimate came out about a year ago, I believe. So it has been quite some time since we had some really difficult content to just sink our teeth in and prog. Because of course I'm one of those players that just runs through the content in a few days, and that's pretty much it for us. So it's kind of sad to see that we don't get any more content added to the game in Shadowbringers. That takes a little bit longer to prog through, maybe a few weeks and then a few extra weeks to farm out weapons or something like that. A little bit unfortunate about that, but of course I'm still going to be playing 14. Looking forward to patch 5.5 for the content that will be in there, like 24-man. Nier's 24-man has been pretty good, so I'll probably be enjoying this final one as well. Extreme Primals, still need to farm those out. Hopefully the final relic step is also good, and I might farm a few relics out as well. And then once all of that is done, I'm just basically going to be hoping that Lost Ark is going to be releasing in the West, so that I can spend the rest of my time playing that until 6.0 comes out. But I think that's pretty much all I really had to say. Yes, I'm a little bit disappointed that Ultimate's not going to be there. Yes, it's going to suck having another content drought in this expansion. The second one, of course, first one we got in 5.2, now another one in 5.5. So I'm just kind of hoping that there will be other games releasing some updates that I can sink my teeth in, and maybe not as much Final Fantasy XIV, as there is not a lot for me to play in the game right now. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below what you're going to be doing during the content drought in 5.5. You may be going to go back to do some old content. I know, for example, a few of my friends are going to be trying and doing the old ultimates because they've never set foot into ultimate, so they want to try out and see if they can clear maybe one of the old ones. Let me know what you're going to be doing. Anyways, on that note, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.